Indigenous knowledge undergirds our cultural identity and cultural integrity, and it has both historic and ancestral strands critical to our future generations. Indigenous knowledge encompasses a vast array of elements, including history, language, oral traditions, philosophy, food security, and kinship, among other elements. Indigenous knowledge goes to the heart of understanding the biodiversity of our ecosystems, the plants, flora, and fauna, all the things that sustain us. More significantly, Indigenous knowledge also embraces the profound relationship that we have with our Arctic homelands and territories, both lands and the marine environment. Consistent with the ICC principles and elements for a comprehensive Arctic policy, we have acknowledged that Inuit knowledge and scientific research are both valid systems of knowledge that should be recognized and harmonized within the context of research. For decades, in the name of science, actions have been taken that ultimately disrespect or exploit Indigenous knowledge or take it out of context for other purposes. Therefore, others must recognize and respect our rights in a comprehensive fashion as they relate to Indigenous knowledge. And others must have the patience to understand our concerns and work to establish the relationships needed to nurture genuine trust. Once trust, respect, and recognition are established, we will then have the space to manifest the ethical and equitable engagement of Indigenous knowledge holders and Indigenous knowledge. Only in this way we will create an environment that allows for the real co-production.
Many important leaders in the Arctic Indigenous communities have long played important roles in advancing Arctic science and engineering, and Western science, university researchers, and government scientists are indebted to these individuals for the wisdom and insights they have shared. This has made our efforts more efficient, our field studies safer, and helps society come to understand and value the Arctic as a critically important region in the global system. The Arctic is important as a system. People are also an integral component of that system. They're not just living on the surface or watching it from afar, but are intertwined with the plants, animals, weather, and terrain. They are not just another aspect to be studied, but are the heartbeat of the system. They evolve with the changing climate. They adapt to the changing seasons and the available resources. They are the echo of the land, but they are also the vision of the future.
Arctic is home to diverse indigenous cultures and languages that tremendously differ from each other, that have developed their own unique technologies and indigenous knowledge systems that advance their lives on their homelands. The key concept that unites Arctic indigenous peoples, however, is the reciprocal relation to the nature, is the ability to give back to nature, not to take more than is needed. And this is the core of sustainability in the Arctic. This has been the driving force of the healthy communities and healthy Arctic environments.
Collaboration between indigenous people, indigenous knowledge, and Western science is especially important. Indigenous knowledge provides a foundation for individual and collective resilience of past, present, and future generations of Arctic indigenous peoples. And it empowers communities to make the self-determined choices and define their own paths to Arctic sustainability building.
The position of indigenous knowledge, according to Nenets themselves, has a great value because it can save the life. In tundra, it's very important to have different abilities and skills. A child, when he is or she is finished with education, supposed to become a tenivana, which means to have a great mind based on experience. At the same time, today, they must learn the capacity to adapt quickly, because tundra life is changing, but also the climate is changing. But we also should listen to women which are living in tundra today and still helping their husbands to protect and develop reindeer herding.
In 1994, there was a meeting on traditional ecological knowledge of the predecessor of the Arctic Council. My fellow natural scientists, they were arguing traditional knowledge is not real knowledge, just anecdotes, histories. Today, science works closely with the indigenous peoples, and we see many, many good examples of better collaboration. The future may bring even a better form of collaboration between the people on the land, the people who have the history, and the science communities. We have learned that working together helps. We have learned that working together creates new and better questions, and it creates new knowledge that nobody have been thinking of before. Let's hope that the future will be totally different from the one I met 30 years ago.